Excellent. The time is now 6:03 p.m., and I will call to order this hybrid public meeting. It is December 3rd, 2025. My name is Elaine Thatcher, and I am the chair of the Historic Preservation Commission. Regular meetings and public hearings for both the Clark County Historic Preservation Meeting are held in hybrid format and will be in-person and virtual participation options for commission staff and the public. This will allow for safe participation by commission members, staff, and any citizen interested in attending. For those of you joining remotely via computer, you should be able to see tonight's meeting agenda on the screen. If you can't see the screen and have joined by phone only, I will be announcing the agenda items as we move through the meeting topics. Members of the public and applicants that have joined us remotely are attendees. Other event participants cannot hear your audio unless you are acknowledged by the commission chair or staff and are unmuted. This evening's agenda is planned as follows. Roll call, public comment for subjects other than public hearings on meeting's agenda, as there will be specific public comment period as part of the hearings, updates from partner organizations, new business, old business, commission announcements and events, subcommittee updates, for good in the order, and adjournment. Are there any amendments to the agenda that need to be made? Seeing none, we will now have roll call of HPC members who are present for this meeting. Commission members, please say "I'm here" after I call your name. Jan Bader.
Here.
Morgan Fraser.
Here.
Madison Gabig. Has not arrived. Andy Gregg. Elaine Thatcher, I'm here. Rob Thomas.
I'm here.
Welcome, Rob. And
Thanks.
John Zingali is absent and has let us know already, correct?
Birthday excuse.
Oh, birthday. Happy birthday, John.
No, he's with his kids, watching his kids tonight.
Well, that's also important. We do not have any meeting minutes to review this month. Minutes from November and December meetings will be available for review at the January meeting. We will now hear updates from partner organizations. We will begin with our regular update from the Historic Trust. Is Holly on? You are right, I did. You are correct. I said very quickly, but let's give a more formal introduction to Rob. Rob, you joined us this last month by public vote. Would you like to introduce yourself to the commission members?
Sure. I'm Rob Thomas, and thank you so much for having me, including me on the commission. I apologize for not being there tonight. I caught a bug over Thanksgiving and didn't care to share it with you all. So hopefully we're going to see you in January. I'm not an archaeologist or a historian, which is very impressive on both counts, but I do bring some skills to the team that I hope are going to be complementary. I have about 25 years of enterprise level technical operations, project management, and change management experience. And most recently, I'm employed by Eli Lilly, working in their legal department, and I worked extensively with their artificial intelligence and data analytics areas. They've made significant investments there, so it's been kind of eye-opening to see what can and can't be done there. So just largely a big old nerd and geek, and I hope I can bring those skills to bear here. So I look forward to working with all of you.
Excellent. Thank you, Rob. Thank you for not sharing your bug, and we look forward to meeting you in person in January.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now we will move on to public comment on items other than the public hearing. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, I will now move on to the partner updates. Thank you, Morgan and Jan, for catching that. We will now have our regular update from the Historic Trust. Do we have Holly on the line?
I am not seeing Holly.
And just
Okay.
to note, we don't have anyone online for public comment either.
Yeah.
Awesome and awesome.
Yep.
Sounds good. Thank you. If Holly pops on later, will you let us know? Wonderful. Are there any other partner organizations who wish to give an update? Yeah.
Your recap here. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity to just update on what the Clark County Historical Museum has been doing this year. We've had an absolutely incredible year. Huge thanks to your support of our speaker series. We've been able to engage with the community. We actually are at a point where our speaker series is so popular that we are turning people away at the door. So we are actually, one of them we did earlier this year, partner with the National Park Service at Fort Vancouver and held it at the Visitor Center. And we turned people away at the door. So it was great that we're able to get that many people engaged with all of these different topics. So it's been just an amazing time doing that. We also opened a brand new exhibit. If you haven't have a chance to come by and see it, it's the 80th anniversary for the Vancouver NAACP. It was an exhibit that was 3 years in the works. To put together. We worked very closely with the NAACP to make sure that we were helping facilitate the storytelling and amplifying their story and voice. It was an amazing opening, had an incredible time, and just been wonderful. We also worked with the Port of Ridgefield this year and had a series of panels installed on their waterfront trail, which will be a part of their new waterfront development eventually. So it's staging that site. Yeah, and we've conducted our History on Taps at the historic Higgins Theater, which were all incredible. And majority of those were sold out. And if they weren't sold out, they were pretty much fairly full. We enjoyed our wonderful walking tours this year of Battleground, Camas, Washougal, Ridgefield, and Vancouver, and Old City Cemetery, which is one of the sites that is on the historic Clark County Register. And again, we were turning people away, full attendance at all of our tours. And then, of course, the thing we're famous for, our haunted walking tours, were incredibly successful. So we're just incredibly excited. And in 2026, we are working on, we're going to be opening actually next week, the 200th anniversary exhibit for Fort Vancouver. So that will be opening. It's called Echoes of Hudson's Bay, talking about how Hudson's Bay impacted trade and the community and the echoes that still reverberate through our community, while also understanding that from time immemorial, Indigenous nations have been here and have an integral part in that narrative and story. And then next year, we'll be working on an America 250 exhibit, and I am going to be serving as the chair of the American 250 committee for the area. And helping coordinate all the partners. I just sat as chair of the Fort Vancouver 200th anniversary committee. So we're just changing the name on the committee, but adding more friends. And so we're excited to work with everyone to do that and make that happen. So that'll be a new exhibit that will open in 2026. And we'll be also working with the Washington State Historical Society as a part of Washington 250 that they've been conducting. And then one really exciting piece is that we will be taking over the operations of the Covington House in 2026. And so we'd absolutely love to have you come and visit there. And maybe if you have subcommittee meetings you need a space for, we could host those for you. And we just really want to engage that space, get people in there. And our theme for this year has been making history. As we are telling stories, we're also making new history together by gathering, engaging, and just being face to face. And so we've had an absolutely incredible year. And if you're available on the 20th of November, we will have our final Indigenous market that we host at the December, that's what it is. Yeah, you can't go back in time. Yeah, so December 20th. We'll be hosting our final Indigenous market, and we've seen on those days anywhere from 500 to about 600 people come through the museum, and it is an amazing, uplifting experience to be able to host the Indigenous makers in that space and help support their economy. So we're really excited about that. Yeah, probably more to share, but that's pretty much the highlights of what we've been able to do. We will be, we will be closed the entire month of January because we are remodeling our lobby into the downtown visitor center. So people will be able to come off I-5 and get all the information about what we can do in this amazing city and this amazing county. And we will be the visitor center for downtown. Yeah, so February we'll open back up and we'll have a nice shiny new visitor center and galleries and a museum. That's not changing.
Sounds like a fantastic 2025 and starting a good 2026.
Oh yeah, it's been amazing.
Wonderful.
Cool. Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you
Brett.
for your time.
Hi, this is
Yeah.
Thank you, Brad. That concludes the partner updates portion of this meeting, unless Holly's popped online.
There is still no one else online, so
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
fortunately.
Next, we'll move on to our public hearing. I will open this hybrid online public meeting for a Clark County Heritage Registration nomination for the William Frederick Kaufman House at 8104 Northeast 107th Avenue, Vancouver, Washington. The steps involved in the hearing process are shown on the slide. That has public hearing open. Commission members announce the ex parte contacts and conflicts of interest, staff report, questions by staff by commission, presentation of applicant, questions for the applicant, public comment, public hearing closed, commission deliberation, and commission makes a motion and roll call vote. Do any commission members have ex parte communications or conflicts of interest? Andy? No? Rob?
No.
All right, and I don't either. So that ticks that off. Clark County staff will now give a summary of the staff report and recommendations. Bart?
Great. Thank you very much. Let me pull up the staff report. You all should have it in front of you. It has been posted the minimum 15 days on our website. I will just give a real high-level summary because we have museum staff and believe the landowner here. No, someone else. Never mind. So without further ado, this is a hearing for a Clark County Heritage Register nomination for the William Kaufman House. It's located at 8104 Northeast 107th Avenue in unincorporated Clark County. There is a detailed physical description and locational description on pages 1 and 2 of the staff report, so I won't regurgitate that for you all, but the main thing to be aware of is that this is a circa 1912 era house, fairly unique architecture located in an area that has seen a lot of development. So it is special and that has been preserved for as long as it has. The nomination itself is very thorough and detailed. And so as I wrote in later in the staff report, the nomination is incorporated as the supporting evidence to support this nomination. And again, Brad is here to discuss it. The part that I will remind everyone about is that nominations to the Clark County Heritage Register have to meet county code because this is not a city nomination, it's a county nomination. So that's found in our historic overlay portion of the Unified Development Code, Clark County Code 40.250.030, and sections within that. The two things that we have to establish on the staff level, other than making sure that we have a complete application, which we clearly did in this case, but that the eligibility criteria is met. And so Part E of that section that I just read has the eligibility that it needs to be at least 50 years old, needs to be historically significant, and have integrity of location, design, setting, materials, workmanship, feeling, or association. Based on the information available to staff in the nomination form and my exterior physical inspection of the property when I was posting it, these criteria appear to be met. So moving on to the second part of what staff has to evaluate, the property must meet criteria in at least one of the following categories within the historical, with the nomination areas that could be focused on. So there's 5 different areas, and in this case, it was clear from the application and evaluating the report that the Part A and Part E, so it would be the first and the fifth criteria, are the most relevant to this property in that it's associated with events that have made a significant contribution to the broad patterns of national, state, and local history. And then Part E, it's associated with the lives of persons significant in national, state, or local history. Clearly, the house itself is interesting and intact, but that wasn't the primary focus of the application. So that can be discussed if the commission wants to discuss that. Other than pointing those two things out, you can see from the staff report that, as I said, we adopted the nomination as attachment A to support these findings. And it's integrated into the staff report, referenced where needed. We find that both the initial eligibility criteria and one or more categories of significance are met, and therefore we recommend approval of this request for nomination to the Clark County Heritage Register. And with that, I can either take questions or we can defer after the applicant's presentation.
Do we have any questions for staff? Rob, do you have any questions?
No, not at this time.
All right. So with no questions for staff, would the applicant like to provide any additional testimony? Excellent. Welcome back.
It's been a long time.
Ages and ages.
Well, thank you again for the opportunity to speak about this pretty wonderful home that we were able to go through and find the history about. So the William Friedrich Kaufman House, it merits to be on the register because of its deep story and connection to obviously our local history and then Kaufman himself. As we look at our understanding of our architects that have helped shape the built environment in Clark County, we know names like Day Hilborn and we know names like Donald Stewart, and those are kind of our titans, are on our Mount Rushmore of our architects. And then in recent years, thanks to the nomination of the 1963 Fort Vancouver Regional Library, we've added Don Cassidy to our understanding of that lineage. But when we look at the part of Vancouver that we see as most historic and the places that are fairly iconic to our community, we know very little. The record's pretty silent on those architects and what were their lives, what were the pieces that brought them here and the places that they shaped. And with finding this home, we at the museum were shocked. Because we have sat for many years inside our building, the 1909 Carnegie Library, Vancouver's first building built to be a library. And we've walked past the north side of the building and we've seen the placard that notices the people who helped build that. We see the name Hidden, we see the name Nichols, and then we see the name Kaufman on there. And we thought it was almost too good to be true. We thought there's no way that this is the William Kaufman who we're literally sitting in the building of at this moment. And as we dug in and we did the research with amazing Samantha Smith, who helped us put this together, we were able to verify that, yes, this was the William F. Kaufman who helped design the 1909 Carnegie Library. And as we looked, he had commissions for designs from J.P. Kiggins, from Brazzi, who was another prominent person in the community, which means he was very active in the downtown area. And again, the library being one of those most significant pieces on Main Street and a very iconic building was something that he had touched. And we really dug into his history, went all the way back to where he had his roots in New York. And then eventually he moved to Michigan, where he started in his 20s, his architecture firm. And what's really interesting is when you dig into these nominations and you dig into these personal stories that people have, you end up finding these threads. So we found this thread from the Clark County Historical Museum, Two Orchards. And we're like, wow, Kaufman has this thread in this history that connect there. But then as we looked at his early life, he had purchased with another gentleman, Peter Floater, his architecture firm from Watkins, Hidden, and I can't remember the last name, but it was a 3-person firm. And when we saw Hidden, we said, there's no way in Michigan. This 20-year-old kid is going to be associated with a Hidden that's in Vancouver, but Hidden is kind of a weird name too. And we ended up finding out it was Oliver Hidden, who was the brother of Lowell M. Hidden. So he had this Michigan connection to Vancouver and eventually ended up in Vancouver and designing buildings in this space. And so what he does is he fills this gap in our knowledge. So now we have Oliver Hidden, who we know was a local architect, and now we have William Kaufman. So we can start to really see the shape from how the built environment changed in Vancouver, from Kaufman's architecture and Hidden's architecture to Hilborn, then to Stewart, then to Cassidy. So it's just telling a broader story. And this house is that tangible piece that represents the last physical remnant of home life out in the Orchards area for William Kaufman, because he only lived there for a short amount of time. He passed away soon after they ended up establishing. But then as we dug in more about the house, we realized that if you're not aware of how the streetcar system developed in Vancouver and in Clark County, it was really kind of a real estate grift. To put it historically accurate, what would happen is real estate companies would and people who were speculating would purchase property, and then they would drive a streetcar out to that and then try to drive people to purchase those lands. And the Sifton line is part of one of those real estate activities. And what that did is you had the core of Vancouver and a lot of the cities. It was pretty compact, but it started to spark an interurban expansion. Eventually what became suburban sprawl in Clark County, obviously in the 80s and the 90s, as the Orchards area and everything started to fill in. And we've obviously seen the city expand, and soon the city may eventually annex this portion, which all started with those interurban streetcar systems, that real estate speculation, and starting to expand the city and draw it out. And this house holds that narrative because Kaufman was one of those people who bought in early. Now, it didn't blossom right after that. The streetcar failed a number of years, as you can read in the nomination, but it was that initial ignition that started that. And he was a part of that wave, a part of those folks with real estate. So then obviously he passes away and his daughter takes over the property. And what was really interesting for us is we have rarely seen in deeds in the properties that we worked with when it looks like someone potentially defaults and loses the house during the Depression. We don't see a lot of Depression era history. You kind of, if you look at Clark County and Vancouver history, it's, Fort Vancouver was established. There were prunes. We had a couple shipyards, World War II. So it's really the 30s is a real scene missing kind of moment for Clark County. And what this did is it started to peel back what might be happening. You had someone who looks like they lost the house, and then the mortgage was assumed by a gentleman and maybe his wife, we're not sure. And this gentleman fell on hard times during the Depression, ended up in jail a couple times. The house eventually was repossessed, like many homes during the Depression. And if you look towards the end of the 30s into the 40s, the house sits with the bank for a number of years. So it does peel back on that event of what was happening in Clark County during the Depression. Were people losing their homes? Was there potentially that kind of piece? So we found that really fascinating, that kind of extra extension of a narrative with the house. And then lastly, if you go out there, and I'm sure Bart, as he walked out there, you probably noticed, he's like, I'm in the middle of a neighborhood. When am I going to see a big house with some property that looks like a farmhouse from, the 19 teens? Well, that house is the anchor. It was the property of the person who went and actually platted that subdevelopment. So it goes from this rural agricultural, space with being the plains during the indigenous period to then, growing up to be a fourth plain and then orchards. And then eventually the orchards that we know today, which is very full of suburban homes. And this house is the anchor for the person who made that happen and kind of completed that arc of that narrative for our county right now. And today, what's really interesting is we are working to try and continue to preserve some of those open spaces and lands and history. And so it's kind of a future arc for us to be able to get it on the register, protect it, and preserve it so that we now have that next step in our story of saving these places that represent kind of how our lived environment has shaped, and also a place that's tied to someone who is in that is a descendant of our architectural history and can be a part of that narrative. And our hope is we'll continue to find out more about Mr. Kaufman, more buildings that he, constructed or designed, and be able to make a more rich narrative. But we at least have this house that's still remaining. So it was just a really proud moment. And obviously he designed our building, so he's got a special place in our heart.
Excellent. Thank you. Does the commission have any questions for the applicant?
I do.
Yeah.
Loved the application, total fan of it. I am just really struggling with the lack of the architectural description
Of course.
the house itself.
Yes.
It just killed me. Like, I love the history, that all the pages of the history. I just really wish that there is a way that we could bolster these applications architecturally.
And we work to try to do that. We do. So the museum does have a formal relationship with LSW at this point. And when we're able to do that, we have them volunteer and help us bolster that. We weren't able to glean much more than what you see there in the structure. Now, we just didn't feel on this one it was pivotal, and we weren't able to guarantee that the pieces we were talking about would be integral to the original structure. The pieces that we talked about that we know some of the siding was changed. We know some of the windows were changed. We do note later after we submitted this that someone actually who lives in the house now found a cabinet that actually has Kaufman's name written in the back. So there's some pieces, but we couldn't substantiate whether he even designed it. We couldn't substantiate any of that information. So we just didn't think that that was the best place to focus our energies. And that was where the nomination was going to stand on. But we do understand and want to continue to do that with these nominations.
It's just hard as a commission because when people come for certificates of appropriateness, if there isn't more of an architectural basis to the applications, it's really hard for commissioners who don't have that experience to be able to make, educated decisions on should we let them change the siding,
Absolutely.
And so like when I read it and I'm looking at this beautiful 4-square vernacular house, and when I started reading the application right away, I was like, just because I'm a professional, my hackles kind of went up. I was like, paramedical? Like who writes like that? Like I would just like to see a little bit more of the architecture because I saw pictures online of the inside of this house.
Yeah.
And the hardware, the details of the interior wainscoting, everything that he probably did design because it looks like a very manly home, to say the least. So that's just, I know I've said that before, is just kind of, it just helps the commission, as like, I just see us as a commission sometimes not having all of those tools. So when these applications are a little bit stronger, like, oh, it doesn't have the original horizontal siding. It has, vinyl siding or whatever over it, but I bet it's underneath.
Yeah, it's a possibility for sure.
Right. And, just talking about a little bit more about the architecture. And I think that sometimes people focus on like, oh, well, they changed 2 windows or they added this outbuilding when that's probably not really the bigger story. The bigger story is, wow, they only changed 2 windows, right?
Mhm.
We have 12 1/1s, or whatever those architectural terms are that you could add to the nominations that will help the commission in the future if the certificates come in front of us.
Yeah, and absolutely. And we definitely always want to provide the best packet and the best nomination possible when it comes to all of those elements. And we do try to focus our energies on the pieces that are going to help recognize why this is important, but we totally sympathize with that. The only thing I would kind of put on a potential caveat on some of that in the future, just for to be awareness, is that the focus on architecture throughout history and nominations has been created large disparities because you obviously have communities that don't have buildings that are necessarily going to be architecturally distinct or have components that are the architecture is not going to be the most important component of that because of materials they could use, because of economics, because of racial constrictions, all of those types of things. And so we always try to make sure that there's an equability in how we do it, but we understand in this one we could have probably done more to that. I'm not saying in that case, but we also want to be cognizant of that in the future as buildings come through, so that we're not that heavy focus on like, well, it has all the windows.
Right. And I totally get that. But once I realized reading the application, this was Kaufman's house, that he probably designed this house. He probably had a big hand in this house. Then I went online and started seeing the photos inside. And then I read the application again. And I was like, wow, I really kind of feel like in this case in particular, we kind of missed a really important aspect of this resource. Being some of the features. And I totally get what you're saying, because let me tell you, I just did a farmstead and I said everything was eligible, even the leaning outhouse. I'm like
for sure.
that edge. But I think in this case in particular, and it could open up doors for future research, for somebody who wants to look into the architecture.
Yeah,
just because it does have some really unique things about it inside, even though it just looks like a square box kind of.
And this is not always the only bite at the apple for this too. We're not opposed to in the future coming back and refreshing nominations as like the capacity comes to be, but it's always a capacity issue too, whether we can actually engage with people who have the depth in architecture to allow us to do that, or whether we have to use available resources to at least provide the most basics of the architecture when it's not something we're calling. If we were going to call it architecturally specific for the part of the nomination, obviously we would make sure to do that, but we definitely completely understand that consideration, and we're not opposed to updating these in the future to address that issue.
Like for the commission, for instance, for this nomination, besides the location, what is significant? What can we help protect in this case? For certificate of appropriateness, if somebody was to come and bring us a certificate of appropriateness to change all the windows. I just kind of look in that future, just because that's kind of come up.
And the windows are mentioned, the replacement windows are mentioned in that. I mean, they're brief. They're not obviously robust, like explanations of the windows, but they are mentioned. So we feel like the components that would allow you to have a venue to discuss, like, hey, the nomination does discuss the windows.
I did appreciate the discussion.
Yeah. And I do apologize. It's not more robust, but we felt like there was enough in there to give you enough to stand on.
Oh yeah.
Regarding that.
There definitely is. I just, when I realized he was an architect, I was like, ooh, darn it. And then it says builder, and that's builder, and it says his name. And I was like,
and that's the difficult thing.
That was the killer.
That's the difficult thing, is like the record is so silent on the exacts on a lot of architects and a lot of those that they've done, because most of that is held privately and it never is retained unless a museum retains it by chance. Most of the other stuff, it doesn't. People will often come and think, oh, you must have the blueprints, or the city must have the blueprints, or the county has. Those are not retained. They're private, most of those materials.
I mean, absolutely the same concerns Morgan had.
Yeah.
As soon as I read it, it's one photo. You could have at least done all the way around and maybe some
historic
photos of
like.
Well, I don't. There might not be historic photos, but we could have current photos of all four sides of the house and close-ups of the windows. Even if you couldn't get into the interior, I just feel like, again, same concern. 10 years from now, owner comes with a certificate of appropriateness. We have so little information that we would essentially have to let them do pretty much anything to the house.
Okay.
But the Kaufman stuff is wonderful.
Yeah.
And I also really felt like when I read the initial, these are the criteria, it's like, how are we going to show the progression from rural to urban or suburban? I feel like you did on both those, Kaufman and that progression. You guys did a fabulous job.
Yeah.
Where it's light is because we're not putting Kaufman on the historic register. It's the house. And it's so light on details on the house.
We can add photos. I mean, that's.
Yeah. Even if you could just add, I realize there might be somebody living here and you might not be able to get into the house, but even just more photos of the house would make it stronger.
Yeah.
And any additional information architecturally about the house and what's significant about it would be helpful for future preservation commissions.
Okay, we will work to do that. It's just, again, a capacity and a cost issue to be able to try to get the time to do that. But we can definitely do the photo part.
Jan, from a staff point of view, obviously I'm not in a position to ask to get in the house or anything, but we can certainly incorporate everything that's available on public,
I mean, I saw all through the house. I walked all the way through the house.
where did you?
Zillow. It just sold.
Oh, you got Zillow photos.
It just sold.
Okay,
So
yeah,
the-
I don't know if it's
Was that,
appropriate.
well, soon as Dean owns the house, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't sell it to somebody.
No.
So he's the owner.
Yeah.
But he probably has a tenant.
Yeah, there's a tenant in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, at least exterior photos, close-ups of windows, the porch, so that we
Yeah.
have better documentation of what we're trying to save for the house.
Yeah, we can get photos of that documentation. Yeah.
Are you comfortable incorporating that into the approval?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to push you on that if that's not how you
Photos,
guys.
we could get photos by next week. Yeah. I mean, or tomorrow. Like we could go over there.
No, what I'm asking is that's not how you wrote the nomination. So I didn't want to assume more than what you wrote.
Yeah, we were willing to do that just because we want to respond to the concerns. Yeah, photos we can do. I don't know if we can expand the architectural description, but we can definitely provide photos.
And anything that you can see that makes it unique, that makes it, I don't know, like just anything, like just a little bit more on.
I mean,
on
even
the
a
house.
close-up of the siding, so we know what's there now.
Yeah.
And, again, hopefully the tenants would be okay with you taking photos of their house, but
They'll be fine.
Or the owner might already have some photos from.
Yeah, I was about to say, could we ask the owner to provide us exterior and interior photos if they already have them
yeah, I don't know.
about architectural?
We'll work it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pat's like, I got it.
Yeah.
I just get flashing little
But other
thumbs
than
up.
that, I mean,
Fantastic.
fantastic nomination. Great job
Love the
on the
history.
research. Yeah. it
Yeah.
was wonderful. I learned a ton
You
about.
guys hit it out of the park there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Definitely. Just as a commission, like Guy just said, and Jan is backing up. It's like especially because we've just talked about Jan and I are going to be leaving soon, right? So
Yeah.
it's like we're thinking about future commissioners and being able to really grasp these things. Even some of these really old nominations that we get out and we're like, oh, but some of them
Yeah.
will be like, the windows were outstanding or whatever. It just says something. And so when that applicant comes back to us, it's like, I hate the windows. I'm going to make it all one, we're like, no, it says right here, windows the best part. So they actually had something 40 years later to look back at.
Yeah, we'll make sure to get robust photos. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Great.
All right, we will now open to public comment period relating specifically to the historic register nomination. Is there anyone in the room? Please note that if you want to retain the ability to be a party of record on the matter or to challenge or defend any decision made on this matter, please state and spell your name and provide your mailing address or email address for the record. Is there anyone in the room who would like to make public comment? Seeing none, is there anyone online who would like to make public comment?
We do not have anyone online.
All right. Therefore, I am going to skip this providing instructions portion. Staff will now, there's been no public comment, so there's no need to respond to testimony.
So then we would close public
Yep.
comment. Yep.
We will now, public hearing is now closed. The commission will now deliberate. The commission's, just
Yeah,
stay
just-
here.
Because we
Save
we
you
have
the
any more
steps.
questions.
You have to put you through the ringer a little more.
That's
Yes.
That's all I'm here for.
The commission will now deliberate. The commission must make findings that either agree with the staff's findings on the application criteria or make specific comments on any findings. We now deliberate. I announce it
You've
because,
heard our comments.
yes, I do think I heard the comment.
Reading.
Or I don't know if Rob has any comments.
I mean,
Not- Go ahead.
sure. To me, it looks like it fits the CCHR requirements, notwithstanding, and I'm also, Jan, Morgan, I'm learning just a ton, just in your few minutes of discussion there about the responsibility of this commission and making sure that we're very serious about how we take these things. So I appreciate that and looking forward to follow-up discussions with you both. And then I just also would like to echo Samantha Smith, Katie Bush, and Brad there, that this 92 references, and it was a fascinating read. I thought it was just amazing, and I learned a ton. So that's really all I had to say.
Excellent. Andy, anything from you?
No, I was just going reading about Mabel Baki.
Oh, yeah. There's more.
Enjoyed reading about Mabel.
Deep in reading now.
Oh, Mabel Baki was
Yeah.
really something. And I knew her very well, and she had been instrumental in helping me with my dissertation about savings and loans in Washington State. And so she was a good friend and neighbor.
I know, there you go.
That's amazing.
As you all deliberate and think about the motion that you want to make, I would remind you that when we as the planners get these kicked over to us, let's say hypothetically there's an application to make a change to a property. If it's on the register, then it has a flag in it in our permitting system. And so then Susan and I have to okay that and before it gets back to building codes or planning. And so hearing what you all have just said, pictures are great, but the pictures themselves won't allow us as planners. It goes along with what you, Morgan and Jan, were just saying, to have any more review criteria for the property. We would be, if it's just on the nomination because it's of the connection to the historic figure, then basically it would just be, are they going to tear it down? No. Then what are they changing? And so I'm just offering that as thoughts about what level of detail both the applicant would be comfortable with, and maybe Brad needs to go back to the applicant before we put more detail in, or maybe you feel comfortable, and then what level you all, if you just want to approve it as a connection to this historic figure versus the architectural conversation. I'm just putting that out there because that's how we have to review it if we get a permit to look at.
Exactly. Exactly what was my fear.
Yes. All right. You were saying something, Susan.
Sorry. Yeah, this is Susan. I just wanted to say, to back up Bart on that, and read the criterion that we use when making a determination of if a certificate of appropriateness would be needed. There's a lot of verbs here, but no person shall construct any new building or structure or reconstruct, alter, restore, remodel, repair, move, demolish, or make any material change affecting significant historic features as listed in the designation forms to any existing property. So,
Which is why as much detail as we can have is helpful. Because the goal here is to protect the house and the connection to Kaufman and
Right.
the history.
Yeah. So if there's a chance that, the historic banister was thought of by Kaufman, we want to make sure that that historic banister doesn't get changed out for an IKEA one, because
Well, we only usually have
Yeah.
say on the outside.
Right.
Very few of the nomination, the forms have anything about the
Yeah.
interior.
It's
and
all
if
I
they
was
do,
just
it's
using
really-
a banister as a current.
Yeah,
like,
I'm just,
They do though, because we had the lady that came and they had the tiles and, and
They
that was
can.
inside. And so they do mention inside sometimes. We don't have any say over what they do with the banister or the tiles or whatever,
Yeah.
But it is about the house itself. And so looking at the house in itself, it's historic. It has enough historic fabric to it. It has enough historic character to it. It hasn't all been washed away just because it has asphalt roof shingles and a couple replaced windows and vinyl siding, because all of those things can be undone. That's like the rule in historic preservation. If all that can be undone and cedar shakes could be put back and
Mhm.
whatever, and the siding can be taken off, it could look like it was in 1910 all over again. I think that without having a little bit more mention of I'm gonna have to go back. I have to really, really look at it because I think that you did talk about the house in itself.
Yeah, there's a paragraph.
There's a paragraph.
Mhm.
Don't remember it because I already shuddered at the first pyramidical roof. We are not in the pyramids. Hip roof. Just saying. So I do think that there are some discussion in here about the facades, the windows, and all of this, but there is no tie to the architecture, the basic architectural description to why the building is significant.
Well, it's significant because of Kaufman and
It's-
because of,
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
for our. review
And
process,
it wouldn't
I
be
mean, and the
significant
plan.
in comparison to 90 other
Right.
1910 houses.
Right.
This is not a significant
Right.
building architecturally.
right,
It's significant because of the person who occupied it.
right.
Right.
That was again, the energy that we focused on that
Mhm.
was in that portion. And again, we hear you. We would like to focus more energy in the future and provide photos, but it does mention the windows and the replacement windows. It mentions the roof. You know, we mentioned the out structure. We mentioned where the door is in the facade. So, I mean, I think there are
Right.
places in which all this are mentioned in the nomination so that the windows, the doors, the outcropping, that's all within your jurisdiction because it's mentioned in there. Just because it's not mentioned down to every nail and,
It's fine.
you know what I mean?
No.
I think there's justifications within your powers to say this was mentioned in the nomination. We have say over not changing the windows. They can't go and tear that front porch down. It's mentioned.
Right,
They can't go and create a new porch off of the main side because it is mentioned.
right.
Mhm.
But pictures of it so that
We can do
say-
that.
yeah.
We can do that part. I just think that you may have more latitude even with a more brief because it is described as it's not, it didn't just say it's a Foursquare in American end of story.
Right,
You know what I mean? So I think you have flexibility within your
Even if we don't mark it on I'm just not as versed with the form, right? So here on the statement of significance is associated with events and it's associated with lives of people.
This is a good conversation, and you're asking these questions from a really intelligent perspective. I will tell you again that we will only see these and have any review to decide whether it would even get to this commission or be a staff review or exempt if it gets triggered through the permitting system.
right.
Otherwise, it's completely an honor system. You have to understand that. Windows and doors and siding are not permit activities. And we wouldn't know unless somebody told us or the owner came and that asked permission. Okay. So the things that would, so I'm putting my planner hat on now, the things that would trigger it, and this will hopefully make you feel better about approving it the way it is for now. The things that would trigger it are the core structural things that would be very difficult to reverse. Additions, blowing out walls, changes in the footprint, changes in the roof line, changes in that porch, all those things that are already mentioned. We have the square footage. Well, you can't change the square footage of the house unless you remove something or add something. And so those are all things that if people are doing stuff above board would go through planning and building codes and we would see it.
And then it would get flagged.
If it's and that's the system we have for better or for worse.
but we've heard you loud and clear.
Yeah. And I would agree. And again, I'm staff. I don't want to editorialize, put my finger on the scale. I'm just telling you that's how they come to us through the permitting process.
Elaine, did you have feedback?
Yes, I did want to add one comment. And you mentioned that after this had all been put together,
Yeah.
they'd found a drawer with Kaufman lifted on it.
Yeah, something written in a cabinet. We got a text from somebody
Okay.
about it.
I
Yeah.
was wondering if there is a way that we could get comment of that put into it, just even like a little line that it does exist.
We can add that.
Put it as a
Abs-
source.
Absolutely. We can just add it. We can add it into the architecture.
Perfect. But yes, this is a great discussion. I think we were all thinking the same thoughts. I'm just going to add a little line about it's a drawer, right?
I
on
don't,
the
let me
door.
double check what it was.
Okay,
It was
an-
third hand passed down to me.
Interior
Yeah,
feature.
there is something.
Interior feature.
There's an interior name scrawled somewhere. I will find out and I'll give you the description. of what
Excellent.
that
I'm just
is.
adding that to the proposed motion that I'm going to float out in a second. All right, thank you for everyone's patience. The motion I am floating is we make a motion to approve the nomination of the Kaufman House to the register pending the reception of additional photos of the historic architectural features preserved in this house, and in addition to the nomination regarding the labeled Kaufman interior feature.
For the photos, it's the exterior.
Exterior.
Yes. Pending reception of additional
Tomorrow.
photos of the
I second that.
Give that to you.
I move that we approve.
pictures.
Once we get it worded.
Yeah, can we?
One
change
moment, I'm
pending
writing.
To conditioned upon, or, I mean,
Condition.
because if you word it that way, then it's
You can take.
not effective, and then we don't know, then
But
we're
I'm
just
not
sitting.
sure what you're telling us. We can't do conditional on.
No, I want to use the word
Condition.
conditioned
On,
upon.
conditioned on receiving, right.
Yeah,
The nomination.
Additional exterior photos focused on architectural features and whatever interior feature might have Kaufman's name on it. Not a photo of that, but
We'll note it.
just
Yeah.
confirmation.
It'll be noted in the architecture section.
so
I-
from,
Is there a threshold there? Do we get one picture? Or is there 20 pictures? Is there any kind of,
I mean, I'm fine leaving it up to Brad and his staff to figure out how many pictures, but certainly more than the one.
We'll be robust.
Yeah.
You have a camera you know how to
I-
use?
I don't- yeah, I don't-
I mean, if
Many
you're in a,
excellent photos.
If I plan on, we want to tempt fate.
Yeah.
if you're an
Every-
appraiser, you want at least one picture of each side of a four-sided
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
So that would be the bare minimum,
Yep, each elevation.
each elevation.
And then
photo.
the outbuildings,
Yeah, I was about to say, I think there's all
even though
four
they're not
outbuildings.
contributing.
The what?
Outbuildings?
Oh, that
Outbuildings are not included in the nomination.
But it's
though.
still good to have it for the setting.
Okay,
And the
It does
entire,
say right here that-
and the entire property is what is being,
okay.
is the
that's
nominated
fine.
section. So
Yeah.
it wouldn't be,
Yes.
it would be, make sense to have
Yeah.
pictures of those.
Excellent. Okay. So the motion now stands as we make a motion to approve the nomination of the Kaufman House to the register with the reception of additional photos of the historic architectural features preserved in the exterior of the house, and an addition to the nomination regarding the labeled Kaufman interior feature.
It needs to be conditional on a receiving.
Right. The approval is conditional upon receiving.
Condition, instead of pending, conditional of.
You could say something
you're
along
gonna
the
do
lines of, the nomination is accepted
Conditional on approval.
once the photographs have been received.
Yeah.
Conditioned upon, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the word we use.
Yeah,
in-
it's a
in-
great word. It's a
Yeah.
great word.
Okay.
Then if
Use
it doesn't happen, then it,
Get this.
I have it written in many different directions that I can hand to you afterwards. Okay.
Here,
no, it's
read it one
fine.
more time.
I'll have to write up a memo to reflect this, so I'll have to listen to the
Yes.
recording. It's fine.
Sorry, this is Susan. Since we don't know that the second conditional item, the interior feature
Actually
exists,
exists.
yeah, you may not want to
Oh, that's a
make
good
that
point.
required.
That could just be a bonus.
It'll be in there.
Okay. And
If,
confirmation of the existence?
sure.
Okay. And Additional nomination pending. Code. All right, so we make a motion to approve the nomination of the Kaufman House to the Register, conditional upon the reception of additional photos of the historic architectural features preserved in the exterior of the house, in addition to the nomination regarding the labeled Kaufman interior feature pending confirmation of its existence.
So
Fine.
moved.
Seconded.
Excellent. I'm seeing nods from everyone and hearing the right things. All right, now, Susan, can you please take a roll call vote to approve the motion?
Yes. Jan Vader,
Approved.
Morgan Fraser,
Approved.
Andy Gregg,
Approved.
Rob Thatcher, Thomas, sorry,
We're right next to each other.
Approved.
Elaine Thatcher,
Approved. Rob, nice to know we're family.
Brad, I want to say that really well done on the write-up.
Yeah, it's outstanding.
I want to say that all those names that are personally familiar to me make me feel very old tonight.
Well seasoned, Andy. Well seasoned.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed looking at how this house really expanded our knowledge of Clark County history
Yeah.
and like how the things moved. That was a fantastic write-up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent.
All right.
With that completed, we will move on to new business. Brad, would you like to stay in the chair?
Since you're on it. I know, I'm trying to tell you. This is obviously the Brad
I
meeting.
looked up, I'm like, where'd he go? In new business, we will discuss outreach opportunities with Brad Richardson for the executive, who is the executive director of the Clark County Historic Museum. Brad?
Yeah. So we're really excited. Like we said, we have great things planned for 2026. So in February, we'll kick off our speaker series event. So we definitely want to offer the opportunity if you'd like to table. Also, a part of the relationship has always been that you have the ability to be able to speak to the group before the event if you like. We do speak about you each time kindly. And we always let people know that they should come to these wonderful commission meetings and see preservation in action. And then this year, we be doing our History on Tap once a quarter. Once again, we will actually be going up north to Ridgefield. We'll be doing it at the historic Old Liberty Theater up in Ridgefield, just to try to engage some new audiences. And so that'll be a really great opportunity to get outside of Vancouver and engage with folks in Mid-County. We also will have a speaker series at the Camas Library, I believe in March. So that would be really great to get some East County folks. And then also, we do our walking tours throughout the summer. So if you wanted to join us for one of our walking tours, you could actually speak to the group before a tour also. You can even volunteer. We always like to have someone at the back of the line. So if you could help be our second, it would be a nice experience. And then you can kind of see how we share the stories of the built environment about all of our historic downtowns in Clark County. So those opportunities. So the speaker series is February through November. It's once a month. History on Tap is once a quarter, usually on the third Thursday of the quarter. Our walking tours are usually June through about August. They might go to September this year. I think we're doing a couple more. And then also, you're always welcome to join on a couple haunted walking tours. And those are going to be folks that are maybe a little different audience than we traditionally would get to, that maybe aren't focused as much on history. So it would be a good audience. So for a couple of those, we definitely would welcome you to just say hello and mention the work that you do. So those are a lot of the opportunities. Plus, if we're doing any kind of events at the museum that we're having groups, we also have a first Friday that we do community takeovers. I'm not certain if they're full for the year, but we offer that to nonprofits and groups to be able to have a rental of the museum for free. So they have a storefront on First Friday to then engage with people in the community. And I think we're doing one, we may have reached out to the commission about it already. The one that we're doing, the history one. There's one that's all the history groups are going to be together. I think Samuel may have emailed you guys about it. I will double check and make sure. Okay, I will make
Bell
sure.
ringing.
I will make sure that he's got you guys on the list for that because there's going to be all the heritage groups that are going to be convening. So I will follow up with him on that. And then also, like I mentioned, we're going to be taking over operation of the historic Covington House. So any way that you want to help amplify that, if you want to reach out to your fellow commissions and people across the county to say that there's a space to use, we'd love to host people in the building, especially during the day, to activate it. And it's a nice private space. It has a kitchen. It's wonderful, and it's been cared for over a century by what was originally the Vancouver Women's Club, and then today it was the Covington House Historical Society. And that group of people who have been passionately serving that building are still going to be working with us. We're just going to take over operations, and we're all going to work together to continue to support this historic structure.
That's all fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there a way, I think you said Samuel,
Samuel will get you everything, all
Yeah.
the dates.
if we could get an email of all those dates and all the different
Yeah.
ways that we can support, because there's, a walking tour is going to be different, like you said,
Yep.
than a talk night. If you can just send us the ways that we can support you on that, we can get signups and see who would be available for those.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll have him send over all the information to Bart and Susan.
Perfect.
I'm going to time out the meeting for 1 second and check with our only person that's online right now. Rob, can you hear us okay still?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay, Susan and I just both lost our WebEx connections on our
Oh.
county laptops, so we wanted to make sure that the meeting was still working.
Yeah, I noticed it dropped, but it seems to be going well.
Okay, maybe it was a WebEx issue then and not the county computers. I don't know. I still show that it's recording on this computer that I'm logged in on. So sorry to interrupt everybody. Rob, if something drops out, try to log back in. I think it might be a WebEx issue, not something
Sure.
on our end. Thanks. Sorry for the interruption, everyone.
No, please. If you see any other things, let us know, because we want to make sure that this is available to everyone.
Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, if you get those sent over, we can start looking to get you volunteers signed up
Yeah.
for, starting in February.
And then the other thing that we hope to do in the future, which we test piloted tonight, is whenever we are going to come present a nomination or speak to you, we're going to invite people from the public to come witness preservation and process. So we're hoping to get folks to come and participate and join in at the meetings to see the work that you do. So so you have the public here.
Yeah, I saw that pop up before the meeting and thought it was a really cool idea. So thank you.
Yeah, it's fun.
Excellent. Are there any questions from the commission regarding this topic? Looking online, I know the computer is going to be really helpful with that. Rob, do you have any questions as our new member?
I don't, thank you.
Awesome. Fantastic. And Rob, I don't mean to put you on the spot when I ask you. I just want to make sure that if you have any questions as you're the newest member, you're free to ask them.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Wonderful. That will now conclude new business. Thank you so much for coming to us and talking about this.
You can officially move now.
Next, we'll move on to old business with the familiar topic of hearing about the budget. Susan, would you mind starting the discussion?
Yeah, and I just to follow up on what we were just saying, I think what's going on is the wireless network's down, and so this computer's working, the meeting is still working and being recorded. So I think if you can bear with Susan and I as we find files on our computers, maybe we may have to wing it a little bit here.
Wing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever winging we need to do, we are here to
You can
support.
wing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Luckily, we made copies, so I have a hard copy. of
Right,
it.
right.
So we talked about this a little bit last month. And Rob, I know this is probably the first time that you're seeing this, but we do have funds left over from the City of Vancouver funds that the commission gets every year. We have had some limitations on the types of things that you're able to spend that on. And so we were thinking that it would be good to have a discussion with maybe a subcommittee to talk about different things, so this doesn't keep happening, and different ideas that you might come up with for maybe a selection process for different ideas that groups might have for ways to spend the money, or and also just your budget as a whole. So we were hoping to ask for a subcommittee to generate ideas, and then we could come back to the full commission with some ideas, and then you could decide if that's the way you want to proceed or not. So I'm looking for 2 or 3 members who might.
And so this is for the budget for next year.
Right. Yes. Sorry. Yes. I did not explain that very well. Yeah. I don't think there's much that we have left. We don't have much time this year, but so that this doesn't happen again. For next year.
But beyond that, our hands are kind of tied, and there have been so many good ideas floated in the last couple meetings, and then we run them up the chain, and it just not what that money is earmarked for. And so one of the goals of talking offline outside of the meeting would be to figure out a way to be able to use this money and have preset a procedure to approve things, because we don't have a process right now for requests that come in. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And yes, I'm not on mute. I think that's a great thing. I know that Bart, Susan, and I have been banding about some ideas during the fall, and I would love to be part of that subcommittee, especially as I'm also on the outreach subcommittee, so I can kind of have 2 feet in both subcommittees and be a good communication between the 2 of them. Would anyone else like to join me?
I'd like to join.
Excellent. As fresh eyes to our group, I think that would be a fun thing to bring in.
And maybe can we put an email out so that Madison knows and
Madison and John.
Yep.
And so it gives them the opportunity, if they want to be the 3rd person, that they can jump on.
Mm-hmm.
Great idea. Thank you.
Sure.
And then if you're just looking for one more at this point, you can just say, we're looking for one more person.
Yeah, that sounds great. All right. Thank you, Susan. And then we'll see an email about that and see if we're bringing in a 3rd person. Excellent.
Thank you.
The next item on is a status update on the next chapter of the rules and procedures. Bart will start this discussion.
It's not really a discussion. I just wanted everybody's agreement that they're good with January meeting, bringing the next chunk of the rules and procedures, which will involve an email to you all to take a look at it between now and the end of the year. It's the
holiday. That's going to be a little.
That's why I'm asking if people are going to be out of town and don't have capacity, then we can push it to February. This will not be as robust as the other section. This is the I think the next one's the design review and kind of application process section. So it's more just cleaning it up and bringing it up to current.
Is there a way that you could email out the section and then have people respond and say, I don't have time for this, or this chunk is totally good for January?
Sure. Yeah.
That way everyone can see it and also look at their holiday
And I'm being
schedules.
selfish because I know I am leaving for 2 weeks and I'm not going to read it when I'm gone.
Good for you. Be selfish.
And then it's Christmas and everyone has family obligations, and then it's the new year. And I know we're meeting right after the new year.
Yeah. That's what I was,
We're actually a
had
week
things
out.
up.
Yeah, it's a week.
Yeah, it's a week
Yeah,
after.
Week.
Right after the new year.
Yeah.
Right after it. Right.
I usually bring the binder up with us that has the hard copies of all that. And I didn't, and now the other computer goes down.
Don't
and,
want to work. Yeah.
So it's just the next chunk, and I believe it's the design review and application review process chunk.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's email it out, see if everyone has capacity to do that over the month. And if not, we'll punt it to February for a
Okay.
January review and February approval. Thank you.
That's all I wanted to say about that.
All right, we will now move on to announcements and updates. Are there any announcements or event reminders that we have? I'm sure John would like to remind us all that History Day is in March, and if we would like to be a part of that, to let him know.
Right. He's needing judges.
Yes,
He's not here, but he'll tell us.
yes.
He needs judges.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And it's a lot, he will say that too.
Yes.
Well, I think it is.
Especially right now with the perilous nature of History Day going forward.
Right.
Exactly.
Yep. John would also like us to add that in, I'm sure. Anything else we have?
No, I was just a little, I know that, when we had the grants, and one of the grants that we approved, wasn't it for like the Nutcracker? Wasn't it for like,
In
A
the
long
past.
time ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
for a couple times ago?
Mhm.
Yep.
But do they still do that performance? Does anybody
Yes.
know?
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. I talked to a lady recently whose daughter is
I just was
the
curious
beaver.
myself.
You're not nuts. They do.
Yeah, no.
Columbia
somebody up
Dance.
there.
Yeah, it's the something Columbia Ballet's Pacific Northwest.
Columbia
Metro.
Ballet Theater.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
And they're doing, yeah, and I think it's at Skyview.
Yeah.
Columbia Dance.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And it's at Skyview.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's at
they're
the-
definitely doing it. We got the invoice for the busing, which is what the grant was for. So it's moving
Fantastic.
forward. I don't know exactly what
Yeah.
day, but they're definitely doing it.
That's wonderful, and it's so much fun to see.
I'm just thinking it's the holidays. I'm like, well, what events are going on around this time of year, you know?
There's about 3 performances of the Nutcracker in Vancouver from different groups.
Get your Tchaikovsky on.
On Friday, the Providence is doing their opening of the new lawn area, the new Sacred Heart.
Our
Sacred Heart.
garden.
Yep, and there's going to be a lot of fun events there. I think it's from like 4 to 8, I believe. And there's going to be Santa Claus there and lots of crafts that can be done. So that could be fun to go to.
And
See our
Santa
partners
Claus.
at the Trust.
If my email was working, I could open up Holly's report. She emailed it to us. She couldn't get online, but we have
Oh.
it. So we will post it in all of her events that she normally says will be on.
Great.
Oh yeah, and then Christmas at Marshall House is I can't remember which day it is, but it's happening soon, and Santa Claus is there, and lots of great pictures, and get to see the beautiful inside of the historic building. Those are the only ones coming to mind right now.
That was a lot. Thank you.
I haven't heard of when Christmas at the Fort will be, or if it will be.
I'm sure they're doing it.
They normally do. I just haven't heard anything.
That was that big shutdown.
Yeah, if there was, they're probably behind. All right, so that seems to be the end of announcements and events. Next we'll hear updates from the subcommittee. Does anyone have any updates? Demo and code is first on the list.
No.
Nope.
Soon.
Outreach, I know we'd had some great plans and then we got off track and some of them were due to checking if things were allowed. So none right now, but you might be hearing some soon. And web and design.
Nope, we're on
Nope.
hold until the comp plan's done.
Excellent. Nice end of year wrap up.
Heritage Holiday at Fort Vancouver has been canceled, it says.
Oh,
Shoot.
bummer, but also understandable.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was a hard year for the feds.
Yep. All right. With that, we'll move on to for good of the order. Anyone got good things?
I just wanted to welcome our new.
Yes. Rob, welcome, and we're so glad you'll be
Thank you.
joining us.
Yeah, thank you. I can't wait to meet you all.
Wonderful. And thank you for not sharing your germs again.
Yeah.
We look
You know
forward to
what,
seeing you
please.
next month.
And Chair, I wanted to mention just yesterday at the final full council meeting, they approved on the consent agenda the grant recommendation. So,
Wonderful.
so
Very
what
good.
you guys looked at last month is officially approved for Hawkinson School District and what was the other one? Can't remember.
Project?
Yeah, Columbia Play Project.
Yeah. Yep.
She nailed
Did
it.
they approve the 2 grants that needed extensions?
Those were in a separate one that Susan brought forward in the fall because those needed a budget carryover. And
Excellent. That's all good news.
so that's all I wanted to say.
Excellent. So those are good things. Wonderful. Are there any other comments for the good of the order? Or are we ready to make a motion for adjournment?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for adjournment. So we will now be adjourning this meeting.
No.
Thank you all for attending. All in favor? I'm so sorry. I'm ready to clearly to be done. All in favor of the motion to adjourn?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. We will now be ending the meeting. Thank you all for coming to the December meeting, and I'll see you in January.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, everyone.